covering the stories that impact your life, your town, your state, and your future. This is the Means Report with your host, Brad Means.
Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to the Means Report. We certainly appreciate you spending part of your day with us. Where today, we've been focusing on politics lately. We're going to mix it up a little bit today on the Means Report and talk about two completely different subjects. The first one is the Augusta Players. They need your help right now for a very good reason. We'll tell you all about that. Also, have you ever considered buying or selling a business? Is it like buying or selling a home? We have an expert on hand to walk us through that process and kind of pull the curtain back when it comes to business-related purchases and sales. We also are going to tell you how to stay in touch with the Means Report. It is easy to do that. We'll let you know at the end of this broadcast. But let's begin it with the Augusta Players and Scott Seidl. Scott is the executive and artistic director of the Players. And Scott, this is kind of a reunion for you and me because
it is.
Even before you reported, and I hadn't remembered this part, even before you reported to the office for your first day,
right,
you came to the Means Report.
Exactly. Yeah, September 1st, 2017 was my first day on the job. I drove from Atlanta, where I had just done a job, and drove directly to you, and we sat and had a wonderful conversation.
All right, I want to just kind of bring the viewers up to speed on what the Augusta Players is, what y'all do. And so the question is it fair to say the Augusta Players is a group that throughout the year puts on theatrical productions?
Absolutely. That's definitely what the organization is best known for, without a doubt. For 80 years, this fall starts our 80th anniversary, which that alone is worth talking about and is amazing, and that's a whole nother show. I'm just so excited about the season that's coming up, especially our season opener. I encourage everybody to grab your tickets as soon as they're available in July, because the opening show is going to be something the city has never seen before and will never see again.
Wow.
It's going to be incredibly epic, and we can talk about that sometime.
But not today.
Well, I'm happy to talk about it today too, but...
I mean, can you tell me the name of it?
Sure, we're opening with Jesus Christ Superstar.
Oh my goodness.
But it'll have on stage a 42-piece orchestra on stage, an adult choir of 20, a children's choir of 20, and a cast of 26.
Scott, that sounds amazing.
It's epic. And then because we have so many bodies on stage, scenically, we're going to wrap the audience in video content. So the walls of the theater, the ceiling of the theater itself will be filled with video content. We're going to create since we're not using the orchestra pit, we're going to turn it into kind of a mosh pit for high school audience members. I'm just so excited about the show, and the cast is getting announced. Cast was just announced a few days ago.
That's amazing.
Yeah, really, really excited about it.
So, how do you decide what productions to put on, and do you ever repeat productions?
The organization definitely, across 80 years.
Right, you can't, you'd run out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So far since I've been here, in the past almost 8 years now, that has not been the case. I think that that's a bit of a fib. A Christmas Carol, the perennial favorite of the city and a great holiday show, has just been a tradition on and off over the years. And I think in the not too distant future, there are a couple fan favorites that we might see coming back. Not in the next couple of years, but maybe 3 or 4 years down the line that might happen. But we try to, there's so many great new things that have just been released that we're looking at in our 80th season, which is this fall, and then our 81st, and we're already working on our 82nd season as well.
When you focus on the community involvement aspect of the Augusta Players, when you have a camp or when you cater to a certain group, a special needs group perhaps, do those groups take part in the productions themselves, or they're audience members only?
Both. Absolutely, there are opportunities for a wide demographic of folks to be involved with us. Coming up very soon will be Camp Wonderland for young people with autism spectrum disorder. Mm-hmm. That happens in July. We have our other summer camps as well. We have a brand new program called Readers Theater for Senior Citizens, which just premiered this past season, and it was incredibly emotional to watch the first performance of that, to see these seniors just so interactive, and they're, you think about your own grandparents, they're great storytellers.
Oh, the best.
Right? And to put that kind of storytelling talent on stage was just tremendous. We have a new program called Enchanted Stages, which is interactive theater for people with disabilities and brings families in. And then, of course, our mainstay shows, Art Reach, which provides a theater opportunity for area students and area schools from 7 different counties, often providing theater for the first time for people. We see about 12,000 kids a year through that program at virtually no money. It's all subsidized. So we're kind of two things, right? They're the great shows that you see at the Imperial Theater,
Sure.
and the award-winning shows that our junior players do. They just wiped out all the awards at the Southeastern Theater Conference this past year. And then we're providing these social programs as well that are based in theater and based in shows, but they're definitely serving the community in a different way.
It's difficult, I would say, to find someone in the Central Savannah River area that hasn't been touched by the Augusta Players, who hasn't been to the Imperial to witness one of the productions you mentioned. And now you need the community's help. Tell me about the capital campaign and what the goal is.
So for 80 years, we've been nomads. Offices in one place, storage and construction in another, warehouses over there. By the generosity of a lot of different organizations over the years, rehearsal spaces, shows at the Imperial Theater and the Kroc Center, at the Miller Theater, just all over the place, right? But we've never had our own home. And so for the past 5 years, we've been trying to make that happen. And just this past Thursday, we closed down the building that's going to be our home, right in the heart of the theater district. I'm so excited about it. It's across the street from Miller, a block away from the Imperial Theater, same block as Le Chat Noir, same block as Jesse Norman School of the Arts. We're right there in the middle of it, and it'll have offices and 3 rehearsal spaces and storage and construction, the potential for events, the potential for small performances, all under one roof. Just that alone is going to save time, just driving from place to place.
Yeah,
I just have to walk downstairs, not across town.
So will all of the performances, or most, still be at the Imperial?
Correct. Our main stage shows will still be at the Imperial. This coming season, all of our junior player shows and our outreach program will be at the Kroc Center. We're partnering with them this coming season. And then some smaller things will actually be in our building, right there in our home.
I don't know if my colleague Jenny Montgomery told me about this. I think she did, but there were brick sales where you were raising money. Does that still exist?
It absolutely does. So for the past, we did kind of a small kickoff last Giving Tuesday, last November.
Right.
But since then, we've been mostly having private conversations and talking to corporations to get things started. But this past Thursday officially kicked off the capital campaign, and there are lots of opportunities. You have $5, I'm happy to take that and take that donation, but there are opportunities to name the entire building for $200,000 and lots of things in between, doors and windows and offices and rooms, or a brick. You can get a brick and engrave it and dedicate it. I've got one that's dedicated to my grandmother and another one to my parents, and you can do that as well. Or you can just make a donation that you're comfortable with, whatever that might be.
What's the easiest way to get in touch with the Augusta Players and give you that check? And I love that you said no matter how small, no matter how large.
Absolutely.
How do we get a hold of you?
So there's 2 ways. You can go to the AP campaign, as in the Augusta Players campaign, the apcampaign.com, and there's a website there that shows you renovation plans and photos of what it's going to look like, as well as all of the giving opportunities, and you can donate online right there. You can always stop at our current offices at Sacred Heart Cultural Center or mail a check to us at the Augusta Players as well. All of that information is on our website as well, and that's the AugustaPlayers.org. So the apcampaign.com or the AugustaPlayers.org.
Your sets are so elaborate, and they're constantly changing, obviously, with each scene. You mentioned how elaborate Jesus Christ Superstar is going to be. Who builds those things, or do you order them and they come in on 18-wheelers?
We have a phenomenal core of artisans, some of whom are just volunteers that have learned along the way, others who have degrees in technical theater and may be retired and still put those great skills and artistic vision to good use with the Augusta Players. I have a background in it as well, so I tend to get involved with it along the way. Occasionally we might rent a set if we find something that we really like that's reasonably cost and give all of us a little bit of a rest in between shows. But most of it's done by our folks right here in Augusta.
Do people, schools, any places like that, churches ever borrow your sets?
All the time. Actually, we kind of need to bring on a staff member just to keep track of where all of our stuff is right at the moment. Area schools this past season have used a lot of it. And organizations, Georgia Southern comes and borrows stuff from us all the time. The Aiken Community Theater, lots of organizations. Out at the Fort, a lot of folks come and that's great. I love to see our stuff having a life beyond when we use it.
Oh, I know the capital campaign is going to be a huge success, and I know that it's going to generate even more interest in the Augusta Players. If someone wants to take part in a performance, how do they do that? Do you have just the same group of actors, or do you welcome all?
We welcome all. I'm so thrilled. We just announced the Jesus Christ Superstar cast. And there are so many brand new names on there that we've never seen before, and that's thrilling for us. We love to grow our family, and not just on stage, in our audiences as well, right? We want to make sure that Augusta knows that this is their theater, and we welcome everybody into the space, whether it's on stage or in the audience. And so you just have to keep an eye on social media and on our website for when those auditions happen. And we make it easy. It's no stress. We just come in and have a good time in the audition, and new faces are more than welcome. We love new faces in the room.
My last question, and you touched on this in an earlier answer, and it's just what kind of transformation or impact have you been able to witness because of your performances, whether it's someone on stage who has a life-changing experience through their acting, or whether it's an audience member who's touched in some way? I'm sure you've seen it.
Absolutely. There are more than a handful of people, I talk about this all the time when I speak to groups, that credit the Augusta Players with literally saving their lives. And that's not hyperbole, it's not overstating it. They would have made choices that would have put them in a situation where they might not be with us anymore if it weren't for this organization and having a place where they didn't feel judged, but welcomed and valued. And then there's, things like Camp Wonderland, where we're changing lives. So the thing, I know we're out of time, but Camp Wonderland, the great thing about it is we have campers that are on the spectrum, and we also have campers from our junior players that buddy with them one-to-one. And those junior players are as much transformed as these campers are, because they have that experience working with people to the point where some of them now pursue special education as a career path.
It's powerful. It's so much more than just a show.
Absolutely.
Scott Seidl, thanks for all you do. All the best on your campaign. You're going to raise a ton. This community loves you, and we appreciate all you do.
It's good to see you again.
You too. Scott Seidl, Executive and Artistic Director of the Augusta Players. Please help them. You heard the information on how to get in touch. When we come back, we're going to talk about business transactions, the buying and selling of a company. How in the world does all of that work, and who can help walk you through it? Our next guest on the Means Report.